Have you ever noticed that clarity doesn't actually quiet things down? Often it makes noise louder and ends up being more disruptive than anything else. When we have clarity, things shift. We stop over-functioning. We stop over-explaining. We stop playing old unconscious roles to keep other people comfortable. And that is destabilizing to other people, to the old system, to everything, including potentially yourself. It's like an earthquake that collapses everything false. I used to think that clarity would smooth everything over, that it would solve all the problems, and that everyone would get along, or that we'd all be on the same page finally once and for all. But what actually happened? The clearer I got, the more I noticed resistance in others. So if you've ever wondered why your clarity doesn't feel peaceful, even though we're taught that clarity and peace go hand in hand, you're not wrong. Because clarity is not supposed to preserve false harmony. It's supposed to bring real peace and real harmony, and that comes at the cost of everything false. It's supposed to disrupt it so that we can experience real peace and real harmony. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today, why distortion gets louder when you stand in your truth, and how to stay in your center and in your clarity instead of falling back into old roles. And by the end of it, you'll know how to recognize other people's distortion as proof of your clarity, rather than a sign that you're unclear. Clarity is insight that cuts through the noise, that cuts through distortion, that cuts through false beliefs, biases, everything that skews our perception of the world. So if you are in an environment where there's a lot of clarity, or there's a lot of truth, there's a lot of deep accountability, there's a lot of real harmony and mutuality and healthy connection, then clarity feels incredible. Clarity is peace. And it's going to bring people together more, it's going to connect people more. That's when that's true. On the flip side, most of us don't live in those kinds of environments. The world that we live in isn't typically like that. There's a lot of distortion, a lot of disconnection from the here and now, from our power, from true reality. Most people are caught up in their stories. People rely on these stories, rely on these distortions, because they find that way of being safe because it's familiar. There's a lot of noise that dilutes or skews the truth. And as humans, when we don't work on regulating ourselves and healing ourselves and addressing and confronting those deeper unconscious beliefs and wiring, we accept distortion as truth. And it feels safer to us than cutting through that noise or confronting the false narratives we've built our lives around. And so when someone comes in with clarity to a distorted system, or to any environment where there is distortion, or that relies upon distortion to function a certain way, such as my family, such as politics, such as literally, everywhere, what happens is the person who has clarity, or the truth seeker, ends up often being scapegoated or just resisted because it is so incredibly disruptive to what's familiar. Whether or not what is familiar is safe, truly safe, objectively safe, it doesn't matter, because people will always choose in survival what's familiar. And anything that disrupts what's familiar is a threat, a perceived threat. Distortion in general, especially in response to clarity, is such a confirmation of message received, and I don't want to look at it because it's destabilizing me and my entire way of being and processing in this world, in this body, relies upon not looking at the truth that you're showing me. Believing in what I've told myself forever, attaching, grasping with all I've got, so that I do not get knocked down or have to experience the disruption, complete identity death and ego death that is required to actually experience reality from a place of true clarity and true integrity. And so for most people in this life, and the world itself is built upon distortion. Lives are built upon distortion. The way of the roles in our society, in our families, in our friendships, all built around distortion. You're inevitably going to look like the bad guy by being a truth teller, because most people want to stay comfortable. They don't want that mirror. They don't want the truth because they're comfortable with numbness. They're comfortable with false harmony, even though it perpetuates this endless cycle of suffering for everyone. And even if their lives stay contracted and every single person who they touch in their life stays contracted, when we cross paths with other people, we have either a negative impact on someone, a contracting impact on someone, or an expansive impact on someone. And expansion comes from truth. You cannot expand from a complete distorted construct of reality and identity. There's no expansion there. There's a ceiling that you will hit every single time you grow or you try to grow, because it is a false foundation, and you can't build on a false foundation or a shaky foundation. You have to knock it down and then start from scratch with realness, with real accountability, with brutal honesty, with real integrity. That's the beginning of reality. So if you know that that's true, and you know what's on the other side of that kind of ego reckoning for other people or for our world, then you know deep down that it's all love. It's tough love, but it's love. Love in its purest form, by the way, like the definition of love. Truth is love, even if it hurts. And even if someone doesn't understand, the truth is you are a liberator. Bringing clarity into distortion is liberation, period. It's nothing else. Nothing else. People who are on the path with you are they're going to meet you in presence, period. So that might look like validation, but it also might look like challenge. Either way, it's going to feel like truth. It's going to feel like a match in clarity. It's going to feel like a match in accountability. But in the moment though, and there are moments where your nervous system might get a little revved up, you might notice that they're not grasping reality the way that you are. And maybe there'll even be a part of you that questions yourself. Here's what I need you to do. Understand, first of all, that safety is not persuasion. It's not getting them to understand. We need to let that go, okay? Because guess what? They're probably never going to understand. They're probably going to hit that ceiling of their growth within their paradigm for the rest of their lives. It's a hard truth. It's a hard, hard truth, and I feel it in my bones. But there's just truth that most people, especially in our families, they're just not gonna reach the same level of growth and deeper accountability that we are. So here's what makes that okay. Real safety is not actually rooted in their understanding. It's rooted in presence. I'm still processing that and accepting that in my nervous system. It's not something I'm trying to grasp for anymore, but there's still maybe like a sliver of me, a very small, teeny part that's like, when we have these conflicts, it's hoping. It's just hoping, just a little, just maybe this time. And I think as these as conflicts, or just the way that we brush up against each other in our different modes of being, the way it naturally creates friction, I'm also expanding and learning that I'm finding my own center within myself. That's the only place where you really, we can find center. That's the way home, is coming back to the here and now, to yourself. Be that validation for yourself. Allow yourself, give yourself the safety and the space to grieve where you're not going to be met, and accept it. Accept it, grieve it, and eventually it stops hurting so much. It just becomes what it is. And then you find other places, other people, other ways to find truth and true connection. So just remember that clarity does not always bring agreement, but it always brings freedom. And distortion will scream and kick and cry and call you a bad guy, but eventually, well, you know what's on the other side of that. Where are you mistaking distortion as proof that you are unclear instead of proof that you're finally standing in truth? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more content like this. Thanks for watching. So happy you're here, and I will talk to you soon. I hope you have the best day. Bye.